Hi everyone, this is Veronica with VK Design Company. Miss Emma has asked me to create this video tutorial to answer some of the most popular questions she's been asked regarding her adorable DigiStamp set offered with her new DVD, Gypsy Magic and More. Today I'm going to show you how to isolate one stamp of the set to print by itself, how to print several copies of one stamp on a single sheet of paper, and how to make the stamp smaller. These DigiStamps are available for download as a PDF. You can find the URL at the end of Emma's newest DVD, Gypsy Magic and More. For this video tutorial, I am using a neat little program called GIMP. This program is open source, which means it's free and totally legal. I provided a link to the download page for Windows users below the video on Emma's blog. If you already have a program that uses layers, we'll get more into that in a minute, a program such as Adobe Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, there's no need for you to download GIMP. You've already got what you need. So after you've downloaded GIMP and the PDF of the DigiStamps, you can open GIMP and get started. So first thing we're going to do is go to File and click New. And we want our paper size to be the size of a standard printer paper. So I've got mine here at 8.49 by 10.99, or around 8.5 by 11. And we're going to click OK. Okay, now we've got a blank document. What we need to do is get our DigiStamps onto this document. So I'm going to go back up to File, and I'm going to click Open as Layers. That's really important that you click Open as Layers and not just Open. And so this will open up a little box here that you can find your DigiStamp sets, and I've got mine highlighted right here. And you can just click on that and then click Open. And then this Import from PDF box will come up. Just select the image of the PDF and click Import. And now we've got our stamps right on our document. And so now I'm going to tell you just a little bit about layers. Over here on the right hand side of our screen we have our layers panel. And you'll see that I have Gypsy Magic and More right here, and then a background right here. Layers are very much like when you make a project, your pieces of paper, you've got them layered right on top of each other. So if something's layered on top of another piece of paper, you can't see the piece of paper below it. So since we've got our Gypsy Magic and More DigiStamps layered on top of our white background, you're not seeing just a plain white background. But if I click this little eyeball next to our stamps, they go away and we've got just a white background. Alright, so let's go ahead and I'm going to click that eyeball again so we see our DigiStamps. So let's say you love all of the DigiStamps, of course, but all you need to use right now is the Furry Best Friend stamp. What we need to do first is select the layer that we want to use, and right now we're going to be using our Stamps layer. So we're going to select the Gypsy Magic and More layer over here on the right. We're going to come over here to our toolbox over here on the left and click the top left tool called the Rectangle Select tool, and you'll see that it's called that when you hover over it. Click on that and then come back over here to our stamps and draw a box by clicking and dragging our cursor over the Furry Best Friend stamp. Alright, now that we've got that selected, we are going to use our keyboard and press and hold the Control key and then press C. Now what that does is it copies that piece of the stamp. And now we're going to press Control V as in Veronica, and that pastes that part of the stamp set again. So what you'll see is if I now select this new layer that just appeared over here in the Layers panel, and then come over here to the left and select the Move tool, which is the third row down, second column. Looks like two arrows crossing. If I select the Move tool and I've got this new layer selected, I can now click and drag Furry Best Friends and you see that I've got a duplicate of it. Now you'll see over here in the Layers panel that this is actually called a floating selection. We're going to call this a pretend layer. It's not a real layer quite yet. So what we want to do is select that floating selection, and then right below this area you're going to have some buttons down here. We're going to click the leftist button that looks like a blank sheet of paper, and when you hover over it says create a new layer. We're going to click that button, and you'll see that the layer up here that used to say floating selection now says pasted layer, and that means it's a real layer now, so we can actually use it. So now what we need to do is we only want that one stamp on this document. We only want to print out just one. So I've got that one selected, and now I'm going to come down to the Gypsy Magic and More layer, which is the whole stamp set, and I'm going to click the little eyeball, and they all go away, but we still have our furry best friends. So with the new pasted layer selected and highlighted in blue, and over here on the left, our move tool selected, I can click and move this up to the top left, and I can go ahead and just print this one out just like this, and I'm only going to print out that one stamp to use on my project, instead of printing out all of them and wasting a whole sheet of paper. Now let's say that you are doing a card class, and you have several students coming, and so you need to print these out and have several of the same stamp on one sheet of paper. You don't want to print out 10 different sheets of paper with one stamp on each page. So all we need to do here is select our pasted layer and come down here to the buttons below, and the fourth button over looks like two pictures, one on top of each other. When you hover over it says create a duplicate. You're going to click that, and you'll see that we now have an extra pasted layer. It says pasted layer copy up here. We're going to select that and highlight it in blue. We've got our move tool selected, so I'm just going to click and move it over. And now we can just click on our pasted layer again, the original Furry Best Friends, and you'll see that it's got the dashed lines around it, so we know that's what we're using. And click duplicate again, go to our new one, make sure we've highlighted it over here, and move it down. Go back to our original, duplicate, go to the new one, it says pasted layer copy number 2, and keep moving it. And you can just keep doing that until you fill up the whole page, or just as many as you need, and print them out just like that. Now let's say that you only need one, and you need to make it a little smaller. Now let me just hide these other copies, and we're using just our Furry Best Friends, the original copy up here. Now keep in mind, you cannot make these stamps larger. Well, I guess in theory you can, but they're going to come out a little distorted and look kind of fuzzy. So we've created these to be a pretty decent size. This one right here is about 3.5 inches wide. So they're a really good size to start with, but sometimes you need to make things smaller. That's going to be super easy. Make sure you've got your layer selected like we do here, and then over here in the toolbox, it's the 4th row down, 1st column. When you hover over it says Scale Tool. We want to select that tool. Now we're going to come over here, and all I did was click on our Furry Best Friends image. Now we've got two choices in how to resize this. We can use the scale box here, in which I can decide exactly how wide and how tall I want it to be. And make sure your units are in inches. That's just going to be the easiest one to work with. And you can just click the buttons and change the size. What you want to make sure though is you'll see that it's stretching and becoming distorted and smushing and being distorted. You want to make sure that this little button right here, it looks like a broken chain link, make sure that that's connected, and that's going to make sure that it stays in proportion. So I'm just going to click cancel to undo everything I just did. I'm going to come back, click our scale tool, click on the image, and our link is now together. And now as I make it smaller, you'll see that it's still staying in proportion. Right now it's showing what our new size is going to look like compared to the original size. So we haven't actually told it OK yet. What I can do is just click scale. That'll be our OK. You can see right here that it just resizes that image to be smaller. I'm just going to click to undo that. Another way to resize this, if you don't know exactly how big you want it to be, you can just click on it, and then you can use these boxes that are around it to resize it. Now, same thing with the broken chain link, or with it being connected. If you have it connected like it is right now in this box, as you move the corner, it stays in proportion. If I unclick that chain link and it's broken, now I can make it all these crazy sizes where it's not in proportion anymore. So make sure you keep that chain link selected. Once I hit scale, it resizes my image and I'm good to go. Now if you wanted a bunch of this size Furry Best Friend stamp, you just do this part first where you scale it smaller, and then you can go back and do the second part of our tutorial and create several duplicates and then spread them across the page. So I hope this tutorial was helpful for you, and enjoy your new DigiStamps. Bye-bye.